Yes, it's your boy Gordy here. This is Flow Talk. I got my man Inphamus Amadeuz.
Yes, the Inphamus
Punchline
Amadeuz.
Academy.
Yeah, Punchline Academy, new wave.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for agreeing to do this,
yeah,
man. I really appreciate it, especially with everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So I just want to introduce everybody here. I got kind of like a paragraph and a half of who you are and what you do. So Inphamus Amadeuz, right? He's from New York, New York. A trendsetter in the urban community, urban culture. He's on Shade 45. He's done Punchline Academy. He's done Igetatem magazine. He's done what else we have here? We have the Nutcracker on National Geographic.
Can't forget that.
Yeah, we also have Madison Square Garden. He DJs for the Knicks. We also have he also does videography as well. Has worked with multiple artists. We're talking like Nipsey Hussle, The Box.
Yeah. Fabolous, Ice-T,
Dave East,
Prodigy, Mobb Deep. I'm missing so many people, but yeah, it's been that was an amazing ride. Like to be able to articulate or be able to take somebody's vision and bring it to life.
Yes, sir.
That was I really enjoyed the film stuff when I was doing it.
Yeah, I'm actually getting into that myself right now with the camera that we have here. Just kind of learning the tricks and trades, using the different softwares and
you'll
stuff.
be able to do it as long as it doesn't become a job for you.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what happened with me. Like it just became too much of like work.
The editing is a bitch.
Yeah, editing is a pain in the ass. But once it becomes like super work and you lose the love for film, you can fall out of love of it. So just make sure that you pick the right records. Make sure you don't work with everybody just for the money. You know what I'm saying? And you'll be fine with it.
Where I appreciate that. So, tell me a little bit. You've been in the game for a little while. So, when exactly did you start with it? What year did you really start taking it serious?
I always rapped like since I was younger. I think probably after I got signed to Def Jam. And basically it was a situation where they were trying to give me a deal for $250,000, but the APR rate. So for those who know, APR rate is like an interest. So the APR rate was 63% on the deal, and I basically took no money. Yeah, if you do the math, if you took a mortgage that was $250,000, your APR would be like 4%, but it was 63. So I basically took no money, and the record essentially flopped. So at that point, I had to just make the decision that maybe. Not that I'm not a great MC, but I need to figure out how to make all this work for me so I don't have to go through these things again. I want to understand how everything works. Like, what do you do? What does the guy in the camera does? What does the manager do? What does this person do? So in order for me to do that, I had to separate myself from being a rapper. Right, and that's difficult, especially like when you got balls, you could out rap the majority of the game. But if I wanted to accomplish what was my destiny, I just made the decision at that point that maybe I need to pivot and try something different.
So and then you went from you tried a lot of things. I saw your interview with Shade 45. Yeah. And Sway was saying like you put your hand in multiple things that you've done. Yeah. So a little bit about the magazine that you ran, and Igetatem magazine. Yeah. Are you still doing that?
No. Igetatem magazine is that was a stepping stone. But unfortunately, as we know, everything became digital based. So the entire print game kind of died. But even with the magazine, I was just trying to do the same thing that I'm doing now, like really put on for the independent artists, really put on for the people that wasn't getting shine, but also people that were in my niche audience, right? So I actually had the opportunity to put A$AP Ferg on the cover of the mag, and I turned it down. And this was when he dropped the Work record. This is like the biggest record out of like the A$AP theme, but it just didn't fit like what I wanted to do, so I went with Prodigy. And I don't regret that. But looking back, maybe I should have did it because obviously someone crazy. But I guess you always got to stick to your guns. You know what I'm saying? And whatever you feel is right, just go with that and just live with no regrets.
Yeah, no, I think that's 100% right. So you've transitioned to multiple different things. What made you decide? Like, what gets you to the decision where like, all right, I've done this, now I'm gonna try this, or just kind of thinking about it. Like, do you have like a goal of 3 to 5 years? Like, what makes?
I've just gotten out at my high point, so there was no downhill spiral. So whenever, like with film, one time I was like the hottest director in New York City. I was shooting everybody's videos. I was creating content that people still mimic to this day. And I just decided at that point, before there's a downhill spiral, right? I said, let me just get out. And then I had got to the radio after National Geographic. So it's like, I can't pull up to your block no more with a fucking camera. You know what I'm saying? And I'm at Shade. That looks crazy. You know what I mean? And even if you look at my early work at Shade 45, the majority of the interviews on the Lord Sears special I filmed. So if you go to Lord Sears Instagram, all of that content I filmed. You know, I paid my dues. But again, I just feel like if you at the peak and maybe you can't go higher, just get out and try something different. You know what I mean? You just can't be afraid to try something new and understand that the other side of fear is a reward, right? And you don't know what that reward is unless you go out and you actually try to accomplish that.
I mean, that's, you know, it's, yeah, I'm 100% right about that, you know. So Punchline Academy, right? Where I'm just kind of fast forward here because I know we got a lot going on. Punchline Academy. So you started that last year?
No, so the Punchline Academy I started in the pandemic.
Okay.
Previous, this was called Serious Cipher. That was the original cipher. The concept behind the cipher was I was trying to. So Lord Sear, he was on the Stretch and Barbito show. So if people don't know, that was the hottest mixtape show of the '90s. So I wanted to try to inject some of that independent energy into the show. So I did the Serious Cipher, and then in the pandemic we all went home. So I started like this battle thing on Instagram. We just called it the Punchline Academy. The name rings off, and people gravitated towards it. We was keeping people entertained, and then I got the opportunity to change Serious Cipher to the Punchline Academy, and then it just caught so much fire, as you guys know. Over the past like 2 years, you got people like Shaq posting it. You got, you know, it's going crazy. So then they approached me in September about doing an actual Punchline Academy show on Shade 45, and you know we went back and forth, and then we finally got it done, and here we are.
How did that feel when you got that call?
Oh, it was fucking amazing. I got fucking fried, bro. That shit was crazy. I got fucked up.
I know you was proud, right? I know you was proud.
And I guess like now looking back at it in retrospect, so going back to like what you was asking me originally, so when I decided that I wasn't gonna really be an MC no more, my goal was to walk in the room and to make people respect me as a business person, right? And then if I just happen to rap, like what you're gonna see tonight. Like, you know, I'm coming here, Shade 45 is the Punchline Academy. You respect me as a business person, but guess what? I could fucking dump too, right? So it's just like an add-on. So when I did Sway, it was almost like a full circle moment because I came in there as a guest. It's like, fuck, I'm really here. And he knows I'm an MC, but it's more the respectable of like what my catalog is and what I've done. So I'm just so happy that we were able to not only accomplish what was my original goal, but also to do it the way that I want to do it. Because obviously music has changed so much, right? You got drill, you got trap, you got all these different like subcategories of hip hop. So for me to be on the radio every single Wednesday, 2 hours, doing the music that I love, being able to curate music the way I want it to sound, I mean, you just can't ask for nothing more than that.
Hey, what drives you, man, like all these years? Like, what keeps you going and doing what you're doing and getting that, you know, waking up every morning and be like,
yeah,
get it going.
I mean,
drives you, man?
All I got is hip hop. I ain't got nothing else. Like, what the fuck I'm gonna go back to? Crack? I mean, what am I, you know, what? This is all I got. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop is a driving force that got me to where I wanted to go, and I always kept that in mind. I always try to stay humble, not let the bright lights and the glitz and the glare fool you or blind you, because that can happen as well. You see a lot of my peers, they all fucked up out here, right? They doing shit that's wacky, and you're looking at them crazy, you know. And then I guess ultimately I wanted to create some sort of generational change. Like, I don't come from shit, you know what I'm saying? I ain't nobody rich. I don't know no fucking famous people growing up and nothing like that. So this was a way for me to get my family out of the low poverty income cycle. Like, you're in a cycle, right? You live in a project, you go outside, you see fucking buildings. That's all you know, right? But there's something beyond that. So ultimately, yes, that was the goal, to create generational change and lay the foundation for generations after me.
What do you tell those that are trying to come up and you know, they see you and they're like, damn, I wanna be like him?
Yeah, just be your fucking self first and foremost, because a lot of times I think people conform to what they think is hot. You know, this generation, even older people, they have so much pressure because you always have something to look at that you're judging, or you're like, damn, I could be like this, or I could do something better. I think if you just be yourself, people will gravitate towards your story, because when you are yourself, you're authentic, you're unique.
And nobody can be like you.
And you are one of one. So tell your story to the artists. You know, if you never sold drugs, don't talk about selling drugs. I want to know about your baby mama problems. I want to know that you can't pay your rent this week. I want to know you having issues with your grandmother. You got this going on, that going on. Like, just tell your life story. And I think a lot of people don't do that. They put this persona, and that's why music is kind of where it is right now, where we feel like we don't know our artists. It's in a downward spiral. Like, you see, they're trying to push this country agenda right now. It's fucking.
I saw a grandma rapping.
Your favorite. I fuck with your favorite granny. Shout out to her.
It just caught me off guard for a second, you know, like, oh shit. Like,
I actually played her shit because it was dope. Like, she was just her. Like, she drives a Lyft in Virginia, and she gets people in her car and she starts playing her record. And she sound like an old like 3-6 Mafia record. Now, shout out to your favorite granny. She's dope. That's my people.
It's just, you know, that's what you're saying also as far as being yourself, right?
Well, she's her. You know what I mean? This is who she is. Like, she's not trying to front. I'm an Uber driver. I don't have shit. You know what I mean? But this is me and this is the type of music I like to make. And again, we can't put an age or a time limit on music.
It's true.
Anymore. You know what I mean? But maybe before, you know, hip hop is the only genre that does that shit.
Yeah,
you know, they was putting a cap on us.
100%.
You know, but now we have an actual adult culture of hip hop. And I think Hip Hop 50 was so important because we got to shine light on the older artists and their contributions. And the fact that they can still be profitable and they can still contribute. So I think moving forward, we'll hopefully see something different. It'll never go back to the way that it was, ever. But if you just stay in your lane and you play your position and you be yourself, you can accomplish anything you want to.
100%. 100%. So a little bit about, you know, your upbringing. You said that, you know, you come from nothing. You know, you're from New York, right?
Yeah,
what part of New York?
Bronx.
The Bronx?
Bronx, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, like, when you grew up, like, what was the defining moment for you where you decided, I got to get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, so when I was 16, my pops committed suicide on I-95. So for people that's watching this, I-95 is the...
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's the... Nah, but I'm not sorry because that shit gave me the fuel. When you see me doing all the shit that I'm doing, like, these are the reasons why. You know what I mean? So my pops, so I-95 is basically the biggest interstate highway on the East Coast. And there's a section what we call the Cross Bronx Expressway. So he basically tied a belt to the top of the fucking overpass and jumped over at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So this is real shit that happened to me. And I'm not ashamed to talk about it because this is what gives me the drive. Again, like, what the fuck I'm gonna go back to? I'm gonna go back to depression. I'm gonna go back to that shit. I'm gonna go back to the streets. I mean, what am I gonna go back to? So you just gotta push forward and a lot of times not use our depression or the things that happen to us as a crutch or as an excuse on why you can't go where you need to go. You know, for me, I use that shit as rocket fuel. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger, I couldn't understand it, right? I couldn't understand that shit because you just look like, why me, why this, why that? But as I aged, I'm like, you know what? This is actually lessons. This is the things that's prepping me for who I need to become or what I can become. You know what I mean? But, you know, the Bronx in the fucking 80s was rough. That shit was tough, like, you know what I mean? Like, the way your parents meet up right now, everybody smoking crack in the projects, niggas is sniffing coke, heroin. I mean, shit was fucked up, you know what I mean? To come from that to be where I am now, I'm a fucking blessed, you know what I'm saying? And I hope that when people hear that story, they are inspired and they'll be able to relate to me more because I'm just being myself. I'm not being nobody else. This is who I am.
That's crazy, yo. That's a crazy story, man. I appreciate you sharing that, you know. What role do you believe music plays in society, and how do you see your music contributing to that? The music that you put out.
I mean, well, music is a soundtrack to our lives. Obviously, when you get in your car, you know, you hear a song, you relate to a song, you feel a song. I just think for me personally, like my music and my platform, the Punchline Academy, and what I do on Shade 45, it gives the outlet to real lyricists. It gives an outlet to people that just really want to rap bars, and I think they see inspiration in that because they feel so uninspired when they look at what the younger generation is doing, right? I learned a long time ago that we can't judge anybody. I remember when I was younger, like my aunt telling me that Nas was trash, or like who else, like Mobb Deep, or like some shit like that. Like, what the fuck are you listening to? Tupac? He talking about fuck your bitch and all this shit, you know. But that was something that related to us. They wanted me to listen to like the oldest shit, you know what I mean? Like Das Effects or whatever. That just wasn't my thing. But again, music has a way to describe what's going on around you. It has a way to put time in a capsule and hold that moving forward as long as we're doing the right music. So I guess with the Punchline Academy, what I'm doing, I'm just trying to portray it the way that I want people to interpret it when they listen to it 50 years from now.
I went to the one in Wonderville a couple months back.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. That was a good show.
That was fucked up. I ain't gonna lie.
So when you look at it, you know, an artist is rapping and stuff like that, and you decide, all right, you know, I want to kind of put them to my next level of the platform. Mm-hmm. Obviously, bars and you know, confidence is key on that part. But what are some other criteria that you decide that you look at and be like, all right, let me bring them in?
The number one criteria that I look at, even above bars and music, is showing up. You know what I mean? I want people to show up. I want you to keep coming. You know, if you may come 3, 4, 5 times, and you may not make it, like, I would pick someone who continues to show up every time over the best rapper in the room. Because that's someone that I can rely on more. Like if I put you on the calendar, Shade 45, I know you're gonna show up. I know you're gonna follow instructions. I know, like that's also a part of it too. Like how many dope artists we know that fucked their whole career up because they couldn't follow instructions or they couldn't show up all the time. So that is the absolute number one thing. You have to show up.
Accessibility is availability.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, shout out to all the artists that's on this tour. They come and they spending their own money. They, hotels, they drinking, they eating, they traveling with their girls and shit. And then, of course, I mean, we are looking for the best lyricists. We are looking for people that could tell a story, and we're looking for people that are authentic, like just being themselves. And the great thing about the Punchline Academy live tour is that we get to go into different regions, and people are telling the story of how they grew up or where they're from. And it may not be like what I'm from in the Bronx, but I can relate to it because it's you. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to all the artists pulling up.
What would you say in your favorite moment when you started the Punchline Academy?
My favorite moment? I don't know. What would be the best moment? I mean, when I got the fucking show on Shade, that absolutely, because that was, I was at Shade for 7 years previous to this. DJing, doing film work, I did everything that I saw was needed. But I didn't have my own. I was on somebody else's show, and I was super grateful for the opportunity. But again, I'm not asking people to do something that I won't do. Like, I showed up every week. I've been the only live DJ at Shade for the last 2 years. When everybody else was home, everybody else was doing remote shit, I showed up every single week. I don't live in New York. I'm driving in. I'm spending my own money. I'm fucking doing parking, sometimes hotels and shit. So when I got the call that they were giving me the Punchline Academy show, like you just can't get a show on Sirius XM, let alone Shade 45. This is the lineage of Dre, and you know what that extends to. That's Pac, that's Death Row Records. I mean, how many other artists are from that infrastructure? This is Eminem. Think about how many artists come from that infrastructure. This is 50 Cent. That expands into television, like the type of things that we're doing. So that absolutely was the best moment because I'm so honored that they thought of me high enough. And then to put me in K Slate's time spot. So yeah, that's super important. They held that spot this whole time until they
RIP, man.
RIP K Slate, till they find the right person. And it was really authentic. Like, you know what, we want to do something new, and we feel like you're prepared and you can handle it. You know what I mean? So shout out to Ron and Paul for giving me the opportunity for the Punchline Academy.
I appreciate you sharing that and answer that question. So Punchline Academy, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
You're on tour. We're here in Manchester, Jewell Venue nightclub.
Yep.
You're working with, what's the company called?
Full Blast.
Full Blast Entertainment. So how many cities are you touring how many times are you going to be touring this year or the next few years?
So we just did 4 dates right now because this is the first time that I've been able to extend the Punchline Academy brand because, again, I got the show. But we do have, like, North Carolina, South Carolina. We've got Buffalo. We might have a Massachusetts date. I mean, there's going to be a lot more dates. And I'm looking to work with promoters, tastemakers, and curators that are going to be my eyes and ears in the streets. So shout out to Deuce Bug because obviously he's working. I mean, he knows what's hot. He knows what venues to go to. And the way he routed this tour was amazing. Everything was like an hour away. Super hospitality. And again, I'm just looking for more people, again, that'll show up and can be creative in the way that we need it so we can articulate what the Punchline Academy means. And I think that's the most important thing, right? Like, what is the sound? Like, what is it that we're trying to tell people that we're trying to project? And they did a great job. Shout out to Full Blast Movement. Word.
Shout out to Full Blast. I was just talking to one of the guys earlier today. So he's pretty cool. He's telling me he was in UK and stuff like that. So
yeah,
man. So I think we're gonna end it early, but just want to again appreciate you for coming.
Oh, yep.
Thank you to the Mrs. Igetatem for communicating through all this and getting it set up and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I appreciate you. Other than that, is there anything else you want to tell the audience in regards to Punchline and everything you got going on?
So you can listen to the Punchline Academy every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. EST, 4 p.m. Pacific time on Shade 45 Sirius XM. We have an album out right now called The Army Inphamus Division. It's fully produced by me. You can follow at The Army 97. I also have my album, The 10 Tape, out now. So if you want to listen to some of my music, and I have a gold project. One of my records went gold any day now. Was it the sequel? Yeah, I think it's any now sequel. Yeah. So check out, and I guess in closing, I'm not one of these people that's just telling you to do some shit that can't do it themselves, right? I'm leading by example. I'm not asking anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. Right, so if you just follow the format, if you're inspired by what we do, pull up to the Punchline Academy Live. You may not make it the first time, you may not make it the second time, but if you show up, I guarantee you, you will be rewarded.
So how can they get into the Punchline Academy? Those artists that want to
show up to the Punchline Academy live. When you see the Punchline Academy live in your city, and we also do one every single month in Brooklyn. Show up. I had a kid from Sacramento. And Sacramento's like a 7-hour flight.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, Mobb Bush. So, you know, he came the first time and we didn't select him, and he came back again. When I saw him the second time, I'm like, you know what? I'm absolutely going to take you to the Punchline Academy. There's another kid named Mickey Bourbon. He's been like running around. And I've told him this before, so it's not something that I haven't told him. I don't think he's the best lyricist, but guess what? He was showing up everywhere. He was showing up to the Grind Mode cypher. He's showing up here. I mean, he's popping out. He has like I guess like a health issue. So the last show, he was like, yo, I have like an issue or whatever, and I have to leave. And I said, you know what? Don't worry, I got you. And then I put him on the Punchline. So that cypher is actually going to debut in 2 weeks from now. So again, just show up, just follow the movement. I'm very approachable. You know what I'm saying? And we can have a conversation and build on some hip hop shit.
Dream is free, but you got to execute it, right?
That's a fact, yeah.
I appreciate you again coming in.
No doubt.
Inphamus Amadeuz, Shade 45, Punchline Academy. I'll see y'all later.
Yes.